So now we want to create an escape route because conflict happens in every relationship, but how we handle it can make all the difference when we're dealing with each other and all of these emotions. So in this exercise, we're going to help you create a plan for de-escalation during your conflicts. We want to bring it down when we feel the conflicts arise.
Yes. So think about what could help you both calm down when things get heated. Is there a phrase you can agree on that signals it's time to take a break? Maybe physical touch, like a gentle hand on the shoulder that helps bring you back to a calm place. I've known couples that hold each other's hands
Mhm.
in the middle of a conversation. I even have worked with clients before who both laid on their bellies on the floor, completely flat out, and looked at each other because it's really difficult to raise your voice or to get into a fight if you're laying
Like that?
down. Sounds silly, but silliness actually works. Humor is a great way to discharge a lot of difficult pressure and stress and everything that are on you if that works.
And again, especially when we're talking from a neutral spot. We're not in the heat of the argument while we're doing these exercises. This is when we feel more neutral because sometimes humor in those conflictual spots just turns into more anger from the other person. Because, like, how dare you be happy or enjoy yourself right now or try to make fun of me or all those things that can't happen if we're in the middle of a fight.
So work together to come up with an escape route that works for both of you and commit to using it the next time a conflict arises.
Yeah.
So, Chris and I are going to demonstrate what an escape route would really look like. One of the things that's worked in our relationship in particular is when things start to get a bit heated, either one of us can ask to just take a break
Mhm.
and we'll move into a different physical space, calm our breathing down, just let a little bit of pressure off. And it's just a way that both of us have decided to contain anything that can keep us from like saying things we don't want to say or like getting reactive or even dysregulating our own nervous systems, which then it's really difficult once you're in that place to like soothe and calm your nervous system. And it's harder to co-regulate when you're really, really either activated or in a place of like numb shutdown. So we'll give you a little example of what this could really look like. So in the same example that we used in the first two exercises, we'll talk a little bit about that morning where I walked in and I interrupted some of your process. You were a bit confused and then a little bit annoyed, and we were off to the races. So that conversation actually did escalate into our negative cycle. And both of us at different times were able to stop, ask for timeout to go take a break. Now, caveat, if you're taking breaks in a cruel way, like cussing and like run it, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about saying something like this, and we'll just demonstrate. If we're in a frustrated place, I might say something like, you know what? I'm finding that I'm having a really hard time using kind words or being a little bit softer. I'm finding myself kind of wanting to fight a little bit. And I think it would be really good if I just took a couple minutes, breathe. I'm going to take the dog if that's all right with you, but
Okay.
I will be back.
Okay. All right. So I feel also that if we continue without taking a break, that I am going to be looking for ways that you also do that. And so I don't want to get to that spot either. So I may need to take some space and just
Sure.
take some deep breaths. Is that okay that we
Perfect.
take a deep breath? Yeah.
Yeah. You want to meet back here in like 10 minutes or so?
10 minutes.
Okay.
Go.
And if either of us needs more time, we can always text the other person.
Yes.
Okay. But until then, I won't text you.
Yes. Love that.
Very important for partners in my nervous system. Okay. So you were going to say something. I want
Well,
to
I was
hear
just
what
going
you
to say,
say.
you see how what we're doing, again, and this is in a neutral spot, we're practicing, just like if you play a sport
Yeah.
or an instrument or something, we're practicing when it's not game time. Game time will be when the argument is going on, but hopefully we will practice this so that when the next argument or conflict arises, we are ready with our strategies from these exercises that we're doing so that we can come at it from a bit more logical space. Because I'll just speak from my own personal experience. My logic and rational brain goes out the window when I feel like that my whole relationship is on the line. And for me, sometimes just her looking at me a different way than what she normally does
Yeah.
makes me feel like everything is, after all these years, 20 years, 20 plus years, I've been in love with this woman, but she can give me a look and I can be like, it's all over.
It's
So,
been a good run.
yeah. So using these
Yeah.
exercises in a neutral spot allows us to then, when the game time is on, we kind of know what to do from there.
Yeah. We want it to be your knee jerk, that it's in your body. You've practiced enough that you don't have to really think about what to do in that moment. It just automatically is going to be something that can come up for you
Mhm.
in a game time. I love that metaphor,
Yeah.
in a game time moment.
And that's why we want to put together some resources for you as well to reflect back on when the heat of the moment arises and then you start to forget some of these things. I know for me, and I'll be very vulnerable here, when I first started going to therapy, I learned about these things called emotions. I knew what emotions were, but I didn't know how to express them.
Mhm.
So I felt like I was only able to be sad or angry and all the other emotions, well, happy too. but all the other emotions were kind of bad. And so for me, I walked around a while with like an emotions chart in my pocket that sometimes I would need to bring out. And it looked ridiculous because we're in the middle of a fight and I'm pulling something out of my wallet and I'm looking at it going, I feel hurt because I don't feel heard, whatever it may be. But I really had to do that for a while. And so these things take time. And so if you find yourself laughing at these exercises or when it happens and it just completely goes off the rails, give yourself a little bit of grace because we're going to be learning this and putting them inside of our body and inside of our bones over time. So don't feel like that if you don't get it right the first time, you're somehow failing. Because if that were the case, then even after 20 years and several degrees in marriage and family therapy and clinical counseling and all that, we are still dealing with this. Because again, when I start to feel threatened, all of that goes out the window if I'm not practicing it often. So just as a reminder and also some encouragement too.
All right, so it's your turn. Go ahead and create your escape route as well. If you get stuck or if you have any questions, as always, you can ask in the community and you can also message us if you'd like any additional support.
Sweet.
So, we're going to end today's challenge with a check in. We're going to check in with one another. So, now you're going to set a timer for just 10 minutes and you're going to check in about what today's challenge was like for both of you. You're going to be able to have this conversation together. And then all we want you to do is to be ARE, like we talked about earlier, accessible, responsive, and emotionally engaged, or just be secure. So I'm going to validate, I want to reflect, I want to be here with my partner, whatever it is that he's sharing with me in this moment.
And remember, this is not about fixing anything right now. This is literally practice. We are practicing before game time. So we want to make sure that we are present for each other, that we're listening to each other, and the other person actually feels that. Not that we are only doing it, but that the other person recognizes that we're doing it as well.
Awesome. So, Chris and I are going to demo this last exercise for today, and then we will end with some key takeaways from this entire day and what to expect in day 2 tomorrow for the rest of your Catalyst Challenge. So, we're going to do our check in right now.
Okay.
So, I thought it would be great based on our exercises that we both had a chance to check in just on what these 3 exercises earlier today were like, and just to have a chance to have, a check in just to see what it was like.
Great.
And, hint, by the way, it doesn't have to be good. You could even be, boring. It was hard. It brought stuff up. It was amazing. Best ever. Really, it's just more about letting your partner know exactly where you are and what your real time, present moment, right here, right now experience is, which will give you a chance to be together in it, whatever it is. Even if you had different experiences, this is a great practice to be able to come together.
Cool.
So, do you want to go first or do you want me to go first in the check in?
Ladies first.
Ladies first. Perfect. What I loved about this check-in was just some like kind of contained time for us just to focus on our relationship.
Mm.
I always feel like it's just a nice thing to go through and do a bit of a relational check-in and to get even more clear, I guess, on this. And I like getting to do stuff together with you. So that part felt really satisfying, really
Oh,
fulfilling.
I'm glad it felt satisfying. For me, it brought up some of that stuff, so I felt a little bit of that heat even when we were talking about it in
Yeah.
a neutral spot, but I am glad because it just helps to reiterate what to do or how you're feeling, because so much of when I'm in an argument, I'm thinking about what's going on for me.
Yeah.
I'm not paying attention a lot to what's going on for you because I'm trying to, like, fight for myself. So I really appreciated the extra, exercise in order to just, like, practice listening to you.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
Perfect. So that's
Yay.
kind of what that will look like. So, last but not least, we're going to share just 2 main takeaways from today, and we will say goodbye to you today and see you tomorrow in day 2 challenge.
All right, key takeaway number 1. Remember that understanding your relationship and what is happening to you and your partner is the first step to transforming your connection.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I agree.
Key takeaway number 2 is when you notice these moments of disconnection, try to shift back towards more security by being accessible, responsive, and emotionally engaged with each other. You've got this.
Boom. All right, go enjoy. Hopefully, this has been helpful, and we can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. So, if you have any questions, we want to hear about those, and any things that really are standing out in a positive way, we would love to hear those as well. So, thank you so much for joining us today.